What's going on, everyone? So, first year head coach Darvin Ham, I thought did a wonderful job as the head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, given the circumstances. I know a lot of people in Lakers Nation feel otherwise. I know a lot of people want him fired, never wanted the Lakers to hire him, and just thought he did a terrible job. You don't get to the Western Conference Finals with essentially two completely different rosters over the course of a year and a team that didn't even play 10 games together going into the playoffs without good coaching, without good structure, without good stability. Was he perfect? Absolutely not. He had his flaws, he had his mistakes, but he was really good at correcting things. You saw it even in the playoffs over the course of series. He would make a mistake that hurt the Lakers or put the Lakers in a tough spot and would either immediately correct it or he'd make the adjustment accordingly the following game and it would work and Lakers would be right back on track. And that's qualities of a great coach. That's qualities of being able to notice, realize, okay, this isn't working, let's do this, and make those adjustments accordingly. The Lakers were also in a very peculiar situation because most of the guys that they brought in post-trade deadline were all free agents, so you have to tread water. The fear was like D'Lo. Many people were like they should have sat D'Lo sooner. You're also trying to keep him this season, and they were able to do that, right? There was a lot of concerns about would he leave, how would that work? But even beyond that, he greatly outcoached Steve Kerr, who in many people's eyes is one of, if not the best coaches in the league. And who's that much better than Darvin Ham this past year when he had, again, a very incomparable roster, a roster that just wasn't very good to start. Talking about a team that was basically 90% guards, and we still had a top 7 offense, we were still a top defense, and we were able to stay afloat long enough for Rob Pelinka to make some moves at the deadline that made a more comparable roster, and Darvin Ham was able to lead that to the Western Conference Finals. And that's not to mention LeBron James being on one foot and LeBron James needing foot surgery. That's not counting D'Angelo Russell, who had a foot injury. It's not counting Anthony Davis, who had a foot injury. And he was able to manage all of that, lead us to being a top defense and, again, a top offense. You don't do that without good coaching. You just don't. And I have no issues with people criticizing Darvin Ham here and there, when he makes a mistake, fine. But again, all coaches make mistakes, right? We saw it throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Guys like Budenholzer, who's a championship coach, ended up getting fired for some of those mistakes. Even Eric Spoelstra made some just knucklehead mistakes over the course, and he is another one that many believe is the best coach in the league, right? It happens. You're going to have trial and error throughout the course of the season, especially when you have a roster that you haven't even gotten to see play, a roster that you really have no idea what fits, what works. They have chemistry issues you saw on numerous occasions. D'Lo would turn the ball over, and it wasn't a mistake by D'Lo. It was just not knowing where the guy was actually going to be because they didn't have the time to build the chemistry and the reps, stuff like that. And Darvin Ham was able to manage all of that and have some real success. So what is he going to be able to do this year, right? Again, nothing wrong with criticizing Darvin Ham, but there's levels to it, right? To go, oh, he was bad in a moment, so that means he's a bad coach. What about all the good he did? What about all the times? It's the hypocriticalness, right? You'll see people, when the Lakers win, it had nothing to do with Darvin Ham. Nothing. But when the Lakers lose, it had everything to do with Darvin Ham. It doesn't work like that. The players have to play. The players, you could have the best coach that gives the best execution, the best setup, has the best plays, the best everything, and if the players don't execute it properly, it's irrelevant. It means nothing. Jason Kidd has a famous quote about this where he's like, I'm not the savior. I am the coach. It's my job to manage, but the players still have to play at the end of the day. I cannot go out there, lace it up, and be the savior, right? Same thing with Darvin Ham. The players, Darvin Ham can't control LeBron James shooting the Lakers out of a game. What is he supposed to do? He's going to go call LeBron James and make him sit down? Stop. He can't control Dennis Schroeder turning the ball over 2 straight plays, right? Like there's things that are just uncontrollable that the coach will never be able to control. And he was brilliant for the most part. And now we have a very, very good roster that is very deep. And Darvin Ham has all the tools at his disposal now to have a very successful season. Now, I don't think the Lakers are going to be like the 1 seed or anything like that in the Western Conference because I don't think they care. It's about health, right? They're going to continue to load manage LeBron. They're going to continue to load manage Anthony Davis. The Lakers are, the only thing that they care about is being a top 6 team, right? Avoid the play-in. Don't go in the play-in. But I wouldn't be shocked. Like, if the Lakers are, like, the 3 seed, I don't think anyone would be surprised. You're going to have a full offseason, a full preseason, a full training camp, a full regular season to build that chemistry, to build that understanding, to build those sets on both sides of the ball. And Darvin Ham has proven that he can do that on the fly even. And now he's going to have an entire year with the same roster to do it all over again. And now he's not undersized, right? We're one of the biggest teams in the league front to back. Our smallest player is Gabe Vincent, who's 6'3", 200 pounds. That's our smallest player. Everyone else is 6'5" and above. Like, Darvin Ham has size, he has switchability, he has multiple lineups, he could do all kinds of sets. They're going to be really good defensively. They're going to have to work out the offense because there still are some questions about shooting and stuff like that. But still, for the most part, this is a very, very good roster. Darvin Ham is going to have his hands full this year trying to navigate that and figure out what pieces work, what sets do we run, how do we do this, how do we do that. Also, how do you find people minutes? Because, yes, you have a deep roster, but guys are going to want to play. And guys signed up to come to the Lakers to play. So Darvin Ham is going to have his hands full in that department as well, because that's hard, right? Because you need, like, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, those guys specifically, they're going to be expecting to play 30 plus minutes a game, right? So the beauty is with the deep roster is you don't have to exceed minutes. Like, there's no reason LeBron James and Anthony Davis should be playing more than 30 minutes a game. There's no reason anyone on this roster should be playing more than 30 minutes a game. Now, obviously, if it's 4 minutes left and it's a tight game and the starters are in and they're at 28 minutes, you're not going to say, well, I don't want them to play. That would be more than 30 minutes. Like, I guess they're all going to have to sit. No, you go try to win the game. But for the majority over the course of the season, nobody should be playing heavy minutes. And so he's going to have to figure out, okay, well, when LeBron and Anthony Davis are out of the game, what's our lineup, right? And you're going to be able, with this roster and with the flexibility of this roster, you're going to be able to run different lineups to match other teams, right? Like, now if you're playing the Warriors, you can match their small ball but still play big, right? Like, you could go Rui at the 5 and LeBron at the 4, Vando at the 3, Prince at the 2, and Reeves at the 1 on some plays, right? Where Draymond's managing the 5. But let's say you're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. You could go right now, unless we get another center, Jackson Hayes at the 5, AD at the 4. Now you matched up with their bigs. And then you could go, Taurean Prince or Jared Vanderbilt or, Rui Hachimura or Cam Reddish or LeBron or whomever. It's a beautiful thing. It's so nice to see. You're young, you're athletic, you're talented. The Lakers will still be able to keep the pace, right? Lakers are one of the top teams in pace, so they're going to be able to run the ball, push out in transition. Their transition defense should be a lot better because they got bigger athletes that can just get back down and with longer wingspans and all that. That's what killed us in the Denver series was our transition defense. We're terrible in transition. So this is a roster that now you can put bigger guys that can get out, that can, cover more ground rather than a bunch of guards. And then even so many people were like, Darvin Ham just doesn't like to play big. That is the silliest statement I think I've ever heard. What was he? He had no other centers. And then even when he did, in the beginning of the year, you had Damian Jones, who was literally unplayable, got traded, and still for the most part, was unplayable. And then you got Thomas Bryant, who, yes, was great offensively and was great when Anthony Davis was out offensively, but he was literally, not my opinion, this is a fact, was the worst defensive center in the league. How is he supposed to go big? And then the rest of the roster was a bunch of guards. So, of course, he was running 3 and 4 guard lineups because he didn't have a choice. And then when we got the new roster, what did we get? D'Angelo Russell, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, both guards. And you got Jared Vanderbilt, who was the wing, who he played heavily. He played him a lot, right? And then outside of that, who was left? Austin Reeves, who's a guard. Dennis Schroeder, who's a guard, right? The Lakers had still an abundance of guards. And all teams run 3, 4 guard sets. All of them. Even Denver ran 3 or 4. When Jokic was out of the game, even against the Lakers, what did they do? They put Aaron Gordon at the 5, and then usually it was like Brown, and Murray, or Brown, KCP. Sometimes it was all 4 of those guys with like Jokic at the center. Like, all teams do it. All teams run multiple guard lineups, and the Lakers will continue to do that because there is a lot of value in running 3 guards at a time. But the difference is our guards aren't all 6 foot. Our guards are now all 6'5". So that is a big difference too, right? Denver, when they were running 3 or 4 guard lineups, it was like you have Jamal Murray, who's 6'6" or whatever, 6'5", whatever, and then you have KCP, who's 6'5", and then you have Brown, who's 6'5", 6'6", right? Like, all of their guards are bigger guards. So it's not like you had when we were trying to match the guard play, you had Dennis Schroeder, who's 6 foot, and then you had, Austin Reeves, who was 6'5", and then D'Lo, who's 6'5", but he's not a good defender. And it's just like, you're just small, you're tiny, right? And you don't have the defense. Well, now you can match that size-wise. You also have somebody in like a Taurean Prince who can guard a Jamal Murray or something like that. Put some good length, some good size on top of Jared Vanderbilt. This roster is just so much more comparable. But they're still going to run sets with 3 guard lineups because every team in the league does it because there's value in it. That there usually, most teams, like when you look at teams and you look at the like plus minuses of teams in specific sets on the court, it's usually the 3 guard lineups that have the most success. Because your guards are usually the ones that are the point of attack. They're usually the ones that can get to the basket. They're usually the better shooters on your team. They're more dynamic, right? So Darvin Ham has that now on this roster. Then you have just the balance that he's going to need to find. Rob Pelinka did his job. Rob Pelinka did a fantastic job putting this roster together. This roster, again, is arguably the deepest team in the league. In my opinion, they are front to back. This team is one of the biggest teams in the league, front to back. And you have the talent. You have everything you need, right? Lakers still need another center. I imagine Rob Pelinka is going to try to get that done. We'll see how that goes. And I would like another scorer, ideally. The problem is there's not really any scorers left. Like Lonnie Walker, he ended up going to the Brooklyn Nets. And then, yes, they could bring and re-sign Malik Beasley, who I think that helps, and his upside and potential could be very valuable for the Lakers. But he's not really a scorer, right? I would love a guy that you could just give the ball to, and he could just operate and score at all 3 levels and score off the bounce and stuff like that, right? Like, that would be nice. Shoot off the dribble, which we do. We have like D'Lo and Reeves and stuff, but you saw at times like it would have been very helpful to have another guy like that. But look, Rob Pelinka, he did his part. Now Darvin Ham is going to have to do his. This is going to be a very telling season. Very telling. How does this team gel? How does this team look? Where are they defensively? Where are they offensively? Where are they comparable to the other teams in the league? Right? Like, this is Darvin Ham's real test. Last year, he was a first-year head coach. He had 2 completely different rosters. One roster was awful. Right? Like, if you took LeBron James and Anthony Davis off of that Lakers team, they are probably a G League team at best. Maybe not even that. Right? I mean, seriously. I'm talking about the earlier roster. And then Rob Pelinka was able to right the ship, figure it out, and we were good. And you're not to mention, Darvin Ham had to manage all the egos with the Russell Westbrook situation and trying to convince and get Russell Westbrook to buy in, not only on the defensive end, but into a bench role and just all of it. Like, think of all the stuff that this man had to go through this past season. It was ridiculous. No one should have to go through all the things that Darvin Ham had to go through over the course of just one season. And he was able to do all that, and he led that team to a Western Conference Finals. You don't do that without good coaching. You don't go through all of that mess without good coaching. You just don't. And again, it can't be one way or the other. If we're going to discredit Darvin Ham and we're going to go after Darvin Ham for bad games, then you need to praise Darvin Ham and uplift Darvin Ham and tell him how great he is during the good games, right? Because it's not on just one person. It's just like when Lakers lose. It's not just on LeBron James. It's not just on Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis closes out and fouls a guy, right, on the last play, and the Lakers lose, right? Yes, we all want to just go after Anthony Davis, but that's not the only reason the Lakers lost. They never should even have been in that position to begin with, right? You don't lose a game on just one play, one possession, one moment. You don't lose a play on just one player. You don't lose a game on just one coach, right? It's not how it works in sports. Right now, if you're playing tennis, sure. But they're not. They're playing basketball, which is a team sport, right? You have 5 guys on the court at any given time that need to work together, that need to execute, that need to fill in all of the needs and necessities in order to win the game. And they need to play to the level that they're all capable of playing. Over an 82-game season, you're not going to do that some nights. Everyone has bad nights. Players have bad nights. Coaches have bad nights. It happens. But he did a great job. And now this year, he has all the tools at his disposal to do an even better job. And hopefully it's leading this team to an NBA championship. Even if we don't win the NBA championship, that doesn't mean he's a bad coach. But this year will be very, very telling, in my opinion. Right? Because he'll have a full year under his belt as a head coach. He's going to have a full offseason and training camp with this roster. This roster is very good, very capable of winning it all, in my opinion. But there are other factors, right? Like health. Anthony Davis and LeBron James have to stay healthy, or you're not winning anything, right? Like, they have to figure out how to stay healthy. Even if Darvin Ham plays them, Darvin Ham could play them 15 minutes a game, and we could go 82-0. And if LeBron James and Anthony Davis get hurt, then it doesn't matter. We're not winning anything. So it's going to be on the players regardless, right? But Darvin Ham, with the full year, his ability to manage and control and be a player coach, and people buy into him. However you feel about him, it's undeniable. Players are willing to run through brick walls for this guy. And so that is a very telling thing in and of itself. Would I have liked last year a veteran head coach turned assistant? Sure. But that's easier said than done, right? Most veteran head coaches want to be head coaches. They don't want to be assistants. So, it worked out the way it worked out. He still led them to the Western Conference Finals. We looked solid throughout the course of the season, even with all the variables in play. And now he has a real chance and a real opportunity with this new roster to make some noise. And I believe he will. And I trust the Lakers. I trust Darvin Ham. And I'm excited for the season. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? Somewhere in between? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.